You are watching the New American Media. Broadcasting live from Los Angeles. Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. This is a day-early version of the Unhappy Hour live sports program here on the newamericanmedia.com. I'm your host, Brian Engelman. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're going a day early because the Cleveland Browns are playing preseason game number 2 a little early, and we want to talk about it. We want to wrap up the performance against the Lions last week and talk about what we should be looking for in their next game. Thank you for joining us. I want to thank our sponsor, 3 Black Cats. Do us a favor, if you want to support the New American Media, go take a look at the number 3blackcats.storeenvy.com. That's STORENVY.com. Homemade organic herbal body products, really cool earrings, book boxes, a lot of great gift ideas on the number 3blackcats.storeenvy.com. Once again, for this Unhappy Hour program focused on the Cleveland Browns, we are calling this Strictly Browns, a subdivision of the New American Media, a subdivision of the Unhappy Hour. And once again, we are still pleased to be joined with new daddy, Brandon Odell. Brandon, how you doing, sir?
Doing okay. Definitely the last, I guess 7 days at this point have been pretty much a whirlwind. At certain points it seems like it's gone by as slowly as it could possibly go, and then at other times it seems like it's just whizzed right by. So I guess maybe it's been a little bit of both.
Well, congratulations are in order. Send the best to your family. And little Nola Odell, was that from New Orleans, Louisiana? Is that where that came from?
Well, that's one possible hypothesis of it. Nola actually is an Irish name. And it's kind of an old-fashioned Irish name, kind of like some of those names like Ava and May and stuff like that, are making a little bit of a comeback. Actually, and we didn't really know anyone who had that name, but, actually a few different people have already come up to us. I found out, for example, that my grandfather on my dad's side, one of his aunts was named Nola, and had no idea about that. So yeah, definitely kind of an old-fashioned name, and it is an Irish name to go along with the Irish last name.
Well, like I said earlier, congratulations. Very happy for you. Congratulations. And with that, let's pivot over to football. By the way, our fantasy baseball teams, we're really locked neck and neck there. We try to stay connected outside with the fantasy league, and it's pretty great. It's a nice pennant race with what we got going on there. And if there's a way we can set it up with football too, I think that would be fun, Brandon.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. I had a couple other people ask me as well. There's one that I do no matter what, and then there's another one that the guy asked me if he can get one started, and I told him I'd do it. And with my hands full in other ways, you don't want to spread yourself too thin, if you catch my drift.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about spreading yourself too thin. The Cleveland Browns last week against the Lions, I was thinking about it. What am I taking away from the game? Yes, the Browns won a very close game last week. What am I taking away from it? I'm taking away that our second-teamers beat their second-teamers, their third-teamers beat their third-teamers. And I like that being spread thin in case of injury, our full roster was able to compete and defeat the Detroit Lions, and that's what I'm taking away from it. They're learning how to be competitive across their roster. I'll open it up to you wherever you want to take it. What are you taking away from last week's win against the Lions for the Cleveland Browns?
I'll be completely honest with you, not much, other than the fact that, it was good to see the second-teamers get a win. But, I've learned over the last couple of years that it's best not to get too presumptuous during the preseason, because as we know, what we see from the team in the preseason certainly doesn't always translate to the regular season. Case in point is Colt McCoy last year, who had really an outstanding preseason. I believe he had 4 touchdowns to 1 interception, had like a 101.2 passer rating or something, and everyone said, here we go. And then once game 1 started, well, we saw where that went. So anyway, not taking too much. Brandon Weeden made a couple nice throws, made a couple boneheaded plays. It's his first game as a starter. You expect some of those things. A lot is to be made about some of the other quarterbacks like Andrew Luck throwing touch his first pass and stuff. But let's be great there.
Oh, I think we're losing you, Brandon. Hang on. Wait, let's see if we got that connection reestablished. I think your phone was going in and out. Do we still have you, B?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, anyway, what I was saying is, not taking much from Brandon Weeden. Just, he did okay, made a few nice throws, but I don't want to rush to judgment. Some of the national pundits are saying, oh, well, his debut was terrible as opposed to Andrew Luck, and, some of the other first-round quarterbacks looking great. But, Andrew Luck threw his first pass for a touchdown, and everyone thinks, oh, my gosh, here's Peyton Manning.
Oh, yeah, it was a 4-yard dump-off pass that the guy took for 70
yards.
Pass
that the guy ran for 60 yards. So let's not get ahead of ourselves here. So either way, you don't want to make too much of it, and we'll just see what happens. So, they did some good things. The things that we wanted to see that we didn't get that weren't good, like an improved run defense. Didn't see that at all, but you also had DeQuell missing, you had Ataba missing, and honestly, those are your two best guys at this point.
Phil Taylor.
So that's basically where things are at. So you hope to see some improvement tonight, but you're also playing against an offense that is even more high-powered than what you were getting with Detroit. So that could be some tough sledding ahead for the Browns defense tonight.
Well, let me ask you about that. How do with taking some good things away from the Browns' performance, what did you make of Tim Tebow coming in and running the Wildcat for the Cleveland Browns? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I thought that's all we were allowed to talk about was Tim Tebow and the Wildcat. I forgot this is a Browns show. Sorry.
It was very funny. I looked on Yahoo Sports this morning, and I like to look at the NFL section, and all three of their columnists, their columns were about Tim Tebow and the New York Jets. I thought that was kind of funny. So, hey, Tim Tebow's a good guy. He doesn't bring this attention on himself. He doesn't hide from it. But, all he does is just he is who he is, and he's not apologetic for it. So I can appreciate that and respect that, and I hope he does well for himself out there in New York.
Well, the thing about Brandon Weeden, when he played last year in the bowl game against Andrew Luck, you mentioned Andrew Luck a few minutes ago, when they went head-to-head, the very first play that Brandon Weeden had, he threw an interception. So he started off a little rattled and a little amped up, and then he settled in and won the game in overtime. He strikes me as one of those guys that might look a little rough right at the beginning, and then they find their groove and then dominate. I don't know if we're going to see enough out of that, but I'd really like to see a stronger performance out of Weeden tonight. You think the Packers' defense is going to present a pretty good challenge for the Browns' offense, especially missing Trent Richardson, right?
One thing that you could certainly say about the Packers' defense is that they have an offense that allows them to take a lot of risks. So you're going to see a lot of ball hawking from that secondary, and they have some pretty good pieces back there. Tremont Williams is a pretty tough corner. It'll be good to see him matched up maybe with your number one, whether it's Greg Little or if they put Josh Gordon in there or even Muhammad. Well, I guess Muhammad Massaquoi is kind of questionable for playing tonight. I've heard different things about that. So it'll certainly be a good test. You have some good pieces back there in their secondary. And, you'd be always formidable Charles Woodson, who, is about 80 years old right now, but still plays at a high level. It's going to be a lot of fun. But either way, you're looking for progress. You're looking for sustained drives, I would say. You're looking for maybe one of those 25-yard fades into the end zone or something. I think everyone would really enjoy seeing that, win or lose, if Weeden could put together something like that on his first couple of drives.
Well, Montario Hardesty only got a handful of carries, and Jackson didn't really get too much. What do you expect to see out of the running backs with Trent Richardson still being out? Think they're going to make an impact?
One thing that Hardesty showed last week was that he still has an inability to be able to hold on to the ball, and I think that's going to be his downfall because in this West Coast offense, you need to be able to catch the ball. There's a lot of screen passes, a lot of dumps, a lot of wheel routes, and if he can't handle that, his ticket it could be getting signed right out the door. So unless we see something dramatically different from Hardesty as far as his hands and things like that, which I certainly wouldn't doubt seeing a few passes get thrown his way tonight, Hardesty very well could be the guy that's the odd man out, because Chris Ogbenaya can hold on to the ball. Brandon Jackson has shown in the past that he can, and Trent Richardson supposedly has that ability as well. So Hardesty, if he can't hold on to the ball, he's not going to have a place on this roster. Jackson has been ho-hum so far, but you know what? That's probably what he is. He's a backup running back, and that's about as best you're going to get from Ogbenaya. Saved this team for a couple weeks last year. Is a good multi-purpose back. Might be a place for him, especially if he continues to improve on special teams.
Absolutely. And what about rookie wide receiver Josh Gordon? Didn't they threw a couple passes his way, a few passes, and didn't catch anything? Do you expect more of the same, or do you think he's going to start settling in and finding a groove there?
As far as Josh Gordon goes, I think what the overall consensus was that he looked very quote-unquote rusty after last week's game, and certainly didn't look ready for a Week 1 start. And I think that's the main thing that we need to keep in mind. He has all the talent in the world, but you know what? There's a lot of guys that have a lot of talent that can't quite translate that to the NFL level. I would just say let's not rush things too much with Josh Gordon. I think he's meant to be a little bit of a project. I think if we can see some good stuff from him by maybe Week 4, Week 5 of the season, and start to see some consistent improvement, I think that's the way to go as far as judging Gordon's contribution to the team this year. I wouldn't doubt if we get to see him on the field with some of the first teamers tonight, maybe get a few more balls thrown his way. Maybe he makes 1 or 2 catches or something like that. But I'm not necessarily going to be shocked if maybe he doesn't necessarily play up to par against a team that 2 years ago, was the Super Bowl champions.
And wide receiver Travis Benjamin, he showed us a little bit. We're waiting to see what we're going to get out of Gordon, but Travis Benjamin, that kid's all right.
Well, unfortunately, Benjamin's banged up a little bit as well. It may be that he might not play today. He's been in and out of practice this past week. There's not because of the preseason rules, coaches really don't have to disclose injuries, and so there are a lot of players that are banged up right now that we don't know why. So I would not be surprised if Benjamin sat today, just to play on the side of err on the side of caution for the regular season.
Yeah, and that's a lot what was going on with Trent Richardson. His knee was bugging him, that little hangnail piece of cartilage. And it's like, look, these preseason games don't count. At the end of the day, a long, healthy career and the regular season count. This doesn't really count. And I was thinking, by the way, we should maybe give away, we should plan like a trophy for the #1 rated preseason team. People get Super Bowl championship trophies, but where's the trophy for the best preseason team, Brandon?
It's a big lump of coal is probably what it ends up being, because it doesn't amount to a whole lot once you get to the regular season, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was thinking like some sort of macaroni, like a first grade macaroni and Elmer's glue project. I don't know what it would be shaped at, but well, anyway, got the game coming up. What's your prediction? What do you expect to put some money on it? Give us how many points are the Browns going to put up, and how many are we going to give up?
It depends what you're talking about overall. Are you talking about first team, or are you talking about final score? What do you think?
Yeah, okay, Brandon Weeden, because he did something that costed a field goal attempt, and he left points on the table, and he seems like the type of guy, reading his interviews after the fact, he thinks about the quarterback position as, my job every time I grab my offense is to go grab points. I got to get at least 3, and I want 7. And that's what you want out of every quarterback. So let's break it apart there. How many points will Brandon Weeden drive the Browns to accomplishing against the Packers tonight?
I think if we see a field goal and a touchdown out of Brandon Weeden, I think that they may end up officially giving him the key to the city. I would suggest, once again, kind of withholding judgment a little bit. I think that if we can see, they're talking about playing Weeden through the entire first half,
right?
Due to work in the schedule. So we're going to see probably a little bit more from him than what we normally would. If we can see, I would say 3 sustained drives, maybe out of the 4 or 5 that he actually has.
Right.
3 drives, and I would say 2 scores. one of those at least being a touchdown, I would be pretty satisfied with that.
So you're saying maybe 10 points.
If he can put 10 points on the board, I think people would be pretty happy with that.
Okay.
As far as the defense goes, I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Aaron Rodgers, it's not just the Browns that he's going to blow up. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best players in football, if not the best player. So, if the Browns defense gets torched a little bit, there's going to be fire and brimstone, and everyone thinks, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But let's be honest with ourselves. Aaron Rodgers is, a league MVP. And he's an outstanding, awesome football player, who is just starting to really hit his prime. So don't be surprised if Aaron Rodgers lights us up for 14 points or in 2 series. But also don't think it's the end of the world if he does.
Well, like I said too, we talk about offense and defense and points given up and points that you get. But once again, I just think one of the biggest things that we can take away from last week's win is this is a young coaching staff. They have not been assembled in this place for a very long time. They don't have a long history. They don't have a whole lot to fall back on as far as what they've been able to show as a coaching staff. And I just liked how they kept taking punches and giving bigger punches. And in the whole second half, they really battled and they won the game. And I liked that because the coaching staff was managing a victory. They put their troops in a good position so that they could win the game. And in years past, you've seen clock mismanagement, play calling errors, confusion in the huddles, confusion on the sidelines. And for me, that was one of the biggest things to take away. It's something that might not show up on the stat sheet, but for me at least, it's nice to see the coaching staff settling in. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, you have some good leadership there on the coaching staff with Dick Duran and Brad Childress, former head coaches, who actually both have experience in the NFC North. So I don't know if that will end up helping us or not. But, certainly Brad Childress, much more recently than Dick Duran, has gotten a chance to get a good look at Aaron Rodgers. Might be able to, at least give Duran some idea of what to expect from him. The coaching staff is what it is. Coaches coach, but at the end of the day, players play. And if this game is going to be won or lost, it's going to happen between the lines. And we'll just, I guess, see what happens.
Absolutely. One last question, and I'll let you run. I know you're in the middle of a few things here. Who is your breakout player of the game? Who do you expect to step up? Do you think it might be Whedon? Do you think it'll be Gordon? Who do you think is going to leave their mark tonight? Single out a player.
Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of names that are starting to get floated around Berea a little bit. Number one is, I believe it's Trevin Wade. He was maybe like our 6th or 7th round pick. And due to some of the secondary being banged up, with Dimitri Patterson being banged up, and then also with the possible suspension of Hayden coming up, Trevin Wade actually is getting a shot in that nickel spot in front of some more established players like James Dockery and Buster Screen. So don't be surprised maybe if Trevin Wade is able to make a little name for himself today. And then another name is a guy who was an undrafted free agent here at linebacker, L.J. Fort, who's a tough, hard-nosed player who is really starting to impress the coaches in practice and might have a real shot to make this roster as a special teams guy.
Well, we'll keep an eye on all of those things. Brandon, once again, congratulations for you and your family with your little daughter. I'm very happy for you and yours. That's fantastic to hear, and I'm also excited for the Browns being 1-0 and being on the verge of an NFL season. So it's great to talk football with you, and let's try to do this again next week, shall we?
Sounds great. And go Browns, and who knows, maybe they'll win 42-0 today.
Nice, and then I'll start crafting my macaroni trophy for best preseason team. All right, Brandon, thank you again. We'll talk soon, buddy.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye. Go Browns indeed. He loves to end those on Go Browns, and I kind of threw him a curveball there at the end. So, Go Browns, Go Browns. Oh, it is really nice to have football back, let me tell you. It is really nice to have football back. Can't really put into words how fantastic it is to have football back. And the Browns are 1-0. Brandon Whedon had kind of a clumbly, bumbly, stumbly start, just a couple of not so good decisions out there. It's a couple of plays. It's a long season. and you get better every practice. He said the things he messed up on last week, he's working on. And so I expect that he's going to be better. I expect that he's going to have... I expect that it's going to be great. And I have to expect that because he's our quarterback. And he's 29 years old. That's the thing. It's not like you can really give Colt McCoy a chance now. You've decided Colt can be a backup, maybe. You've decided. You draft a 29-year-old quarterback, he's got to go. You can't sit him on the bench for a few years or let him learn or, have a quarterback competition. You do have to pick him. You picked him at number 22. You got to play him. You just got to say, he's our starter. We're going with it. There's no chance to compete and defeat him and take him out. We got to see what you get out of the first-round pick. So, I just love this time of year. It's going to be great watching the Browns. It's going to be, I love football. I love the changing of the season to fall. And, of course, we have different things going on with the with the whole political season changing. We're, 80-something days away from a presidential election. It's cycles. You got 4-year presidential cycles. You have year-long football cycles. The Browns were great in the 1950s and 60s. Had a moment with cardiac kids. Great in the mid-80s. Then aside from a nice day or two, they've been pretty... it's been pretty rough for a long time over in Cleveland. So let's hope that franchise is finally turning things around with a new owner, Jimmy Haslam. Thank you for getting rid of the Lerner family who helped take Art Modell to Baltimore so that they could purchase a team and then double their profit. Yeah, we should have a close examination of the Lerner family on an upcoming episode, but that's for another day. So for now, once again, what I've said 3 or 4 times, congratulations to Brandon and his wonderful wife Michelle on their first baby Nola. Congratulations. So happy for you guys. And very happy that football is back in Cleveland. By the way, check out our sponsor, the number 3blackcats.storenvy.com, 3blackcats.storenvy.com. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please click subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at American_media_, and like us on Facebook because we like it when you do that. My name's Brian. This is Strictly Browns here on the NewAmericanMedia.com's The Unhappy Hour. Thanks for joining us. You are watching The New American Media.